Hello there everyone, this is Mach3 and welcome to a little bit of stompy robot action. Sometimes involving actual stomping, sometimes not. Welcome to Phantom Brigade 2.0. It's a game that I kind of saw quite a while back. I was interested in, but my previous tower couldn't actually run it. It stuttered on the demo, so I left it alone. But since then it's had a 2.0 update, of course I've had a new tower, and I mentioned it in passing that I'd been diving into the campaign a bit during recent unfortunate circumstances, and it caught interest. So here we are, we're going to see how this goes. And I do not know exactly how editing is going to go, but I think we're going to be okay. In theory, fingers crossed, maybe kind of sort of possibly. Could be. But yeah, Phantom Brigade. I've also decided what settings I'm going to use to play as we go. So, new game. We could quick start skipping the tutorial and the first area of the campaign to play. But I tend to play with having the story showing up as well, so we're going to be avoiding that. Quick start does give you a fixed return on like what you've got going into the next area to start out with. New campaign actually offers some variation in that, so we'll go for new campaign. We are going to crank it to hard mode, because I found normal was actually being a bit too predictable, and I was starting to smash through the fights fairly easily, even a few sectors in. So hard we are going with one modification. We're going to customize it by saying salvaged parts can be of the destroyed variety as well as the simply disabled variety. Now, why am I doing this and not keeping it as is? And that's because I don't want to lock myself into being in a certain build type if I'm trying to actually get parts. Hard mode also reduces how much you can actually salvage after a mission as well. And inherently, if a part is destroyed, it's more expensive to salvage than a part that was simply and cleanly claimed from the battlefield. So I can't salvage anything and everything under the moon. I will have to very much be careful what I pick, but I can at least cherry pick and go for specific modules or weapons that I want to get my hands on and get more loot out of it, so we can try more things, try more builds as we go through, versus being limited to what I purely disable. But disabling enemies is also harder in hard mode as well, because you do less damage, your enemies do more damage, and so you have to be very careful tactically to reliably trying to capture parts, even if you're using specific builds sometimes, according to what researcher did. So I don't want to do that. Excuse me. Anyway, that's going on, and we're going to see how this goes. So we'll start, as we all stories should, at the beginning. I also did try to balance the sound a bit before starting recording as well, so we'll see how this goes. 3 years ago, Boundary Falls Outpost, Fyrland Republic. Or is it Fyrland? I'll call it Fire. Nice peaceful place, checkpoint coming through. I don't think I've seen a moving truck like that in the game itself, but I have only played the first few zones. But these are the stars of the show though. Combat robots. The best kind of robot. Well, actually no, they're mechs, not robots. The distinction being these guys have pilots in them. Also it's nominal. Commence testing. Yes. Deployment confirmed. Text.c can push the prediction prototype to a full 5 seconds. And we're seeing a lot of interference on data streams. Looks like Northern Com Tower might be offline. We're seeing 2. The Lieutenant is busy at the town site. Any chance you could check the tower before commencing tests? Sure. Okay, so starting to get introduced. We're going to see the basic mechanics as we do. Unit selection. This is actually a blend of turn and real-time combat. Confirm. The prediction system is what's mentioned, but it's not unlocked just yet. For now, I'll tell you we want to go into the target zone. Click there, there, and there. Execute. Apparently they have a bit of a bird problem at the northern tower. Looks like the power line has been completely severed. It's the birds. It's the birds, I tell you. It's the birds. They need to learn from Battletech with their emotional support small lasers. HQ, you've seen this? Connection lost. Attempting to reconnect. Doesn't seem right. Bring the prediction system online. Boot up prediction. So this is the gimmick of this game, the key thing. We can predict 5 seconds in the future and plan our actions accordingly. So this is where it's got a blend of turn-based coming into it. Though it's also got very nice graphics and it involves many, many things going boom. So, you know, circle tower, cover 6, system warm up, check that it works, should see predicted movement. So allied unit don't have direct control, but as I scroll along the timeline for the next 5 seconds, we can see where it's predicted to be. Now, it's worth noting this thing is not absolute. If things happen to change the motion of things, then that of course is not predicted. Also, some units actually are inherently resistant to being predicted, and so it will not give complete data as well. But there we go. So, action bar, run, over here, and execute. I think we're technically an AI support system, or something like that. Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to make these snap decisions in the 5-second brackets. So I guess we're some kind of support system. We have contact. A Cascade tank. I'm not taking registration. You cross the border into Fyrland territory. We must protect the Fire Nation. We'll provide an escort to Cascade Dominion soil. Please confirm. Contact failed. Commencing phase 2. Boundary Falls has been multiple prototype units on patrol. Try to take them intact. Ooh. Yes. So, major predicted weapons going hot. So, they know we have prototype units operating here. They want to take the prototypes intact. We will not let them. Press forward. And attacks. I will queue up 2 attacks. One there. One there, real quick. I can move around things in my bar as well, just trying to keep things going. And 2 should be enough to completely level that tank, just slamming to the side of it and removing it from the equation. But right now we are still very much limited by the tutorial. Plus I'm also, as you probably noticed, in game explanation mode as well. There we go. What were they thinking? There's an act of war. Console down, we need to... Multiple Cascade approaching from the north. Take cover. Try to avoid taking damage, so that's okay. But as you can see, we're also predicting something else coming in. And this does happen somewhat frequently during the game as well. Like, you'll see things coming in that you don't really know the source of beforehand. But your data is picking it up. So, yes, there we go. Also notice, because tutorial unlocked, I can only run. And those were fighter jets that came over the top. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat's just right now. Ah, dang it, my drink's empty as well. This is truly dire times. Give us cover. We jump. Worth noting, by the way, we don't actually have that ability installed on the mech, though that's for cinematic purposes. We can get jump equipped stuff fairly soon, but not yet. We can't do that yet, so the fact that my unit was able to jump like that is kind of... neither here nor there. Multi-units on approach. Treat as hostiles, T-minus 5 seconds. This will be quick and easy. So, force that down, eliminate... The 3 using at your disposal. We have a shield bearer up the front here. The shield's a physical shield. By the way, individual parts can take damage from incoming fire as well. That's why salvaging parts is very hit or miss sometimes. Because arms can get blown off, legs can get crippled, torsos can get blown to bits and stuff like that, you know. Also, attacks from behind. This is the core pod where the pilot sits. In a pilot ejection, that actually launches out of the mech. Excuse me. Wow. That launches the escape pod. But attacks from behind, as you can see, it's very exposed there, so rear attacks actually tend to do nasty things to the pilots. Now, this should be very quick, very easy. Let's set it up, because the third one is a heavy weapon specialist equipped with a heavy beam laser. This mech carries a heavy beam. Slow but powerful. Beams cut through cover and hit multiple targets at once. While my base guy has a light mech with assault rifle and a submachine gun, medium range, circle to take advantage of terrain. Well, this one is a shotgun, high damage, close range. Use shield to block attacks when closing distance. Now, they are being terrorists right now. They are firing at the town, not at me. So they're doing fun things. I just have to avoid getting hit. But I will do something fun with them, I believe. Let's see. No, I can't quite get the angle for that, because I don't quite have the speed for it, but I will do this instead, I think. About there? About there. Okay, right. So, I'm going to take my beam. I'm going to target on that guy. So this is a very long attack, very long animation. But what I'm looking for is... There's the angle right there. I need to move the attack up slightly. And there we go. I'm timing it so that the beam attack will hit the enemy mech, but also likely hit one of the tanks supporting it as well. Just because that seems like an appropriate thing to do. I think I'll also move... You're my shielder. Let's move you forward. And get you relatively close to here. Unfortunately, the shield, as you can see, has got a very short range. I will tell you to attack here. It doesn't matter, by the way, for salvage-wise, this particular fight. This is very much basic tutorials kind of thing. This is also something I'm thinking might be worth kind of cutting out a bit more in following videos or battles. Like, how much of this planning should I actually have included? I've decided that my overall combat style is actually fairly aggressive, I think. Not completely reckless, but I do tend to like throw my units hard into the actual fights and get quite kind of risky, because I also like the units to be kind of fast as well, so a bit light on their feet, basically. Let's move you over there as well, yeah. So, there we go. Charge forwards, spin around. You're shooting at the mech as you get close enough, and then you're shooting at the tank at the back to try and remove it. You are moving up, and then you're attacking, again, that tank, because I'm fully confident that this heavy beam laser will deal with that guy. And there we go. Okay, so... Oh wait, no, the shotgun's firing at the... I want to shotgun that. It's kind of out of range a little bit, but it's a shotgun. I'm sure it'll be fine. Here we go. Beam. Excellent. Mech down. Oh. And there goes that tank as well. That one's getting absolutely pummeled. That's gone. By the way, I deliberately turned off damage numbers. Normally I'd be getting every impact would be causing a damage number. I turned that off deliberately just for better visuals for you guys. And because I don't particularly care about exact numbers. If I hit them, that is enough. But here's the other thing, which is probably where some cinematic stuff might appear. I can go back if I'm not sure about what happened, and I can see a replay. And I can move it and pause at any point. So as you can see, what's going on here. So this is showing the beam cutting across and taking out those two. This one is showing this poor tank getting absolutely ganged up on by several units at once. And then I can also just do slow motions and stuff like that as well. So this is one of the other things that drew me to this game. It's very, very cinematic. It's just... Unfortunately, these replays are only available in 5-second segments. Because it doesn't store the actual results, it actually recalculates everything for the replay, apparently. And so replays beyond that are inherently unreliable. There is an experimental upgrade available in the game's main menu which allows you to replay a whole battle, but it's so experimental it very thoroughly breaks the game, and the longer the replay goes, the less accurate it gets. So they really would do better to just record the results rather than recalculate the thing from prior actions, because things like bullet spread, actual damage dealt, stuff like that vary a bit in replay, especially in the experimental full battle thing. But when this game's so experimental, it means experimental because it's not just the replay that's unstable. Actual calculations and stuff during the fight are unstable as well. So yeah. Also, we can change mode, so we can go. We can get it on loop. Just try and look for angles. I might again try this to show battles off a bit better in post-editing, I suppose. But we'll have to see how that works out. For now, though, these three have a very good view of their flanking force on the right-hand side getting absolutely blown to bits. So let's go ahead and plan next. What is going on? We got that tank's planning to back up. That tank's moving this way. That tank's moving that way. Planned attacks. Unsurprisingly, that one there is planning to attack the heavy beam laser. I think I'll get another cheeky 2-4 with the beam laser, actually. Don't need to move you. I will just fire at that one there. And that should intercept, at the very least, that tank there as well. But I'm going to avoid damage, so I'm going to move in and deal with the cheeky tank there with my shotguns and my assault rifle. Just because this should be enough to finish the fight. Also, it's worth noting, by the way, that the way these guys are acting entirely depends on what's going on as well. So the last thing I did before recording is I actually played this first mission bit, testing audio balance a bit. And I took out this group in roughly the same way, though I actually managed to kill all three of them with just the beam laser by accident, but you know. And then these guys acted completely differently. So yes, this should be more than enough to finish the fight. Let's go ahead and execute. I was afraid that tank might be a bit low for it, but apparently not. I clipped the turret. There we go. And splat, the tanks are dead. More cascades approaching, 20, 30. HQ, reserve real elevator, emergency broadcast fails. We're being overrun. All units evacuate the civilians and fall back. Don't let them get their hands on the prototypes. And there we go. End of the first tutorial video, and that was, well, tutorial mission, and that was 20 minutes. Attack approach fails the first menu without warning or provocation. Cascade Dominion swiftly overran the neighbouring country, the Republic of Fyrland. The annexation was brutal and absolute. Within days, Fyrland's military was reduced to scrap and rubble. Their surviving forces fled to whatever safe corners they could find. Armed only with salvaged or rebuilt equipment, they worked together to form a resistance, engaging covert and guerrilla warfare against their occupiers. Over time, they became known as Fyrland's Freedom Force, or the 3F. Could have called them the Burning Legion, but really leaning into that pronunciation of Fyrland. With dwindling numbers, their victory was short-lived, but the 3F has one thing that Cascade didn't: the prototype prediction technology that had been saved from Boundary Falls. These prototypes were entrusted to a small group of mech pilots who could use it to strike their opponents with seemingly supernatural precision and speed. That's me! I'm the special MacGuffin! It also explains how the Cascade guys didn't actually get their hands on it, because the prediction was not rolled out to the general military, or what was left, the resistance force. It's only in a small elite group, and that is us. To risk their one advantage, the time had to be right. For the last 3 years, they've remained hidden, waiting for their opportunity to fight back. That opportunity is today. 3 years later. So basically, the units we just saved have been in hiding. You peer out the vast stretch of land before you. Despite years of occupation, it still feels like home. A pilot points at a spot on the map directly ahead of you. Langset, one of Fyrland's remote outposts, now under Cascade's command. And, if your intel can be trusted, home of a mobile base currently undergoing repair. It's time to make your move. Okay, so this is camera, this is details of your current objective. Investigate the Langset repair yard. Continue. Hover it and right mouse to move. Ever lost, press tab to reset the camera. Okay. Now, this is the strategic mode. We don't really have a mobile base yet. We're about to go and acquire it. But we move around, we find stuff. This takes time though. And the enemy does things during this time as well. If we don't harass them enough, they reinforce and manage to land a strike on our base of some kind. So some of our stuff gets damaged. We can do things to speed this up as well once we've got the base. But right now we don't have the base. We are just the mechs that have been hiding in the bunker for the best part of 3 years. So, you know, let's go ahead and move to Langset. Worse, we're not 3 mechs, we're actually 2. So I don't know what happened to the 3rd unit. Langset, once a remote mine way up in Headmark Highlands, Cascade forces repurposed it as a repair yard for some of their larger armoured vehicles. Those were the early days of the occupation. Now, aside from a small patrol, it seems nearly abandoned. Yes. And here's the problem. Your mech frames haven't had a tune-up since before the invasion, but they should have no trouble here, especially when they're equipped with prediction systems. One of your pilots spots the old mobile base settled into a repair bay, ripe for the taking. It's time to move. We get some general predictions, some general indication of danger, though this is somewhat unreliable, especially on higher difficulty, because the game doesn't quite calculate properly threat level in higher difficulty, so take this with a grain of salt sometimes. 1 on-site contact and 1 dropship contact. So we're predicting 2 units, it says. Wait, sorry, 2 squads it says. 1 squad already present, and an incoming dropship is expected to drop reinforcements pretty soon. So, suit up. What I've been training for, we can capture the mobile base, able to repair and refit these rusty mechs. Control seeing 2 mechs approaching west, negative response on IFF, treating as hostile. Thanks to your prediction system, this patrol should pose little threat to your mechs. Check prediction enemy actions, avoid incoming fire, and strike once in range. Now I've got mission objectives. Right now, main objective is to eliminate all enemies on the field, and enemy reinforcements will arrive in 2 turns. Good idea to clear the field before they arrive. Now, something worth noting, by the way, is if we do a pre-start, which is we appear in the next zone, basically finish the tutorials, we actually get randomized mech colors. I've realized that actually coming into this through the tutorials, we actually get preset mech colors. Also, we do get the same 2 to 4 pilots available to start out, pretty much. Now, the thing is, I could go for the fight and clear out these 2 tanks and be all good. Or I could get more loot if I decide to wait a little bit. The problem is, if I let the enemy survive, they will try to, you know, do fun things to me. So, yes. So we've got our guard here. Let's move on up. Actually, what are you? You are... I can check the enemy's details as well. As you can see, I get their predicted actions for their turns. We've got a auto cannon and we've got a flat out cannon. The auto cannon is actually the more problematic of the 2, so I will actually take that out and just play games with the other tank, I think, until the enemy reinforcements turn up, because I want to have more loot. And this is where the difference starts to come in, I think, compared to compared to the other option, I can choose to get this, and RNG dictates I will get other things as well. Now, attacks generate heat. Keep an eye on the timeline and heat indicator. Space attacks to let heat dissipate and avoid damage. Mechs can still fire and overheat themselves. How much depends on their configuration, as well as how much it hurts them. But I can't chain attacks together quite the way I was in the previous mission, because back then the heat mechanic was basically turned off. This is the mission where it introduces that. So let's go ahead and execute this plan. We are going to double team one tank very thoroughly. And splat. We shot the base as well a little bit. Don't mind that. One turn. I do not care. I am going to let that come on. We're going to check the enemy's pattern. It's going to back up slightly and fire a shell. I'm just going to let it do that. Because now that shell is going to go straight into the side of a building. And yes, it warns you if you ever do something and you haven't issued orders. Deploying. These are mechs. Supposed to be Fyrland's resistance. Let's put them in the ground and report to the command. I feel like I'm being underestimated slightly. Actually, no, I think this sounds familiar. I think that this happened previously as well. They deployed a single enemy unit over here. So I feel like I didn't actually have to wait. So, right. Move on. Attack. Right. What about you? You are move up and attacking... You're attacking my shield. Who are you attacking? You're attacking my rifle. That's okay. That gives me a plan of action. You are actually going to move to here. And just get rid of that guy for me, please. This is a good time to show you the heat mechanics. So, I'm going to adjust it so I fire earlier, because the attack animation, it doesn't fire the bullets immediately. Exactly when and where the bullets fire and what frequency depends on the weapon in question. But in this case, I'm backing you up slightly, so I'm firing basically as soon as I come around that corner. But by having that earlier, it means I can also have my follow-up attack earlier as well, because I can push my mech's heat a bit further too. So, you know, that's kind of adjusting it a little bit. I will also back up slightly, so that when that mech attacks me, it's not going to matter. And then I'll actually move up to give me some better accuracy on the following attack, because that depends on range. So there we go, 100% flat out. That's good. This guy is going to be attacked by this one. So it can't move out from behind the cover, really. Another thing worth noting, by the way, as you can see, environmental damage is a thing. It's actually artificial structures and trees, but artificial structures especially can partially block and intercept shots. In this case, because of the hole in the front of this one, it's partly gone. I'm thinking the cannon shells might potentially collapse this structure during the turn. So, I'm going to check the attack angle on it. I'll move my mech slightly. No, that's going to negate any potential benefits. There's also, by the way, a minimum walk distance as well, so that's why I'm doing that. That's okay. And then I'll actually use my shield action to make sure that I've got extra defense going on for shedding shells actually pierce the building. And yes, notice, shielding is something directed at a given unit, and the shield angle moves depending on how your shielder is moving around said unit. So that's something to bear in mind quite a bit. It's like 2, 3, and that's all you need. In that case, then switch to full attack mode, and actually no, move a bit further, move to there, which you'll do once the enemy tank is done with its shots, though it might not survive to last long enough to do that. And give this guy a shotgun. You know, I think I'm going to be really cheeky here. Step. Step. Let's pull these actions back. You're moving there. Oh, you're slightly too close. That yellow flash was a collision, by the way. And yes, this is also part why I'm thinking of like cutting some of this stuff out of the video and just showing, maybe just show you through the end, because I'm trying to decide this stuff as we go. So last shell goes out there, push it further back, you go there, yep. Then you hold off until the enemy gets past you. Which is not really going to happen. Part of the problem is the enemy is actually kind of slow. What would it look like if I move around the building? Get you there. It walks past without issue. That's fine. And then I actually let you back up slightly. Now notice, that actually changed where I parked. Because I'm preparing to move further, that actually changed where I'm parked. And so, that actually caused a collision. And there we go, just shotgun in the back. Yep, that got through. Oh, the shield dropped before the third shell hit, so I mistimed it slightly. And that did some interesting things as well. Okay. Let's check and get back the angles. Bounced out of the corner. Very good. And the tank is out of play. So yeah, the tank cannon did kind of roll, but I did misjudge slightly when the shell was expected to hit, because the prediction, as you know, didn't really take into account that the cover would fail, and so it wasn't showing me where when the shell would actually reach my unit. So I forgot to account for that one. That's okay though. That said though, this unit's moved past okay. Let's switch back to here, and I don't think I did massive damage to this guy. Yeah, this guy is actually fairly durable. You are going to run, attack my shielder, okay, run, and then attack my shielder again, okay. Give me a second to work this one out. Okay, so I've got this worked out. You saw me worked out the shield, block the enemy attack that's incoming, and then we're actually going to fire back out and get to relative cover near where the enemy's taking cover. My support is going to be following in the path. Note, by the way, while attacking, the unit faces in the direction of the attack it's letting off, but if movement without an attack going on, it actually turns the face direction it's moving. So my other unit is about to start opening fire. I need to move that up slightly. Yeah, starts firing basically when the enemy turns the back, and because of heat concerns, I actually do a secondary attack with the pistol versus another shot with the rifle, which would require me to cool down further. And then we're going to move from there. Though, if I could move up the pistol attack, I would, but as you can see, I'm actually pushing into overheat territory, so I don't want to put that strain on my mech Or I could, it would just start to damage the mech, and that can cause problems as well, because durability is something that carries over between fights, and you do have to fix that eventually. So overheating can help in urgent situations, and this is just not urgent, honestly. So, let's go ahead and see how this one works out. Yep, response to the attack, attacks. Okay. And its optic just lit up, so I'm assuming it's about to do an attack run. Let's double check that one again from different angles. Yep. That's worth noting, by the way. As soon as attack starts, units actually have an optical flare as the unit locks onto things. It's right there, you see. Which can actually lead to some... this is one of the better sources of like screenshots and things. Ready to attack. My unit's here, ready to defend. And then, as we can see, shots are coming in. Mostly striking the shield, though. There we go. So, as I said, this is one of the reasons why I was glad to get this game at Christmas. It's just like, this game actually has graphics turned up to full now on the new machine, so it looks pretty good. Though I wish I could tell it not to highlight units like that, though. But, no biggie. Oh, no, selected units. Douglas Flavor, Decepticons. Not really. Contact 2 lost part right side. Contact 2 destroyed. I think that was the tank that we took out last turn. Okay. Let's check the planning again. You are, I'm assuming, about to attack. Yes, you are. That flash gave it away immediately. But you're firing at the defender. And just the defender. I have a chance to interrupt you. Also, look, by the way, my attacks have been hitting the rear, which tends to hit legs first. But I've not been doing much to the pilot. The pilot's still above half. This is kind of showing the disparity. Basically, I took this guy down in one turn on normal, and this guy's hanging around for multiple turns, as is. So, yeah. That'll be a collision. Need to back to the side to avoid it. Okay, here we go. And this is also going to show one of my... one of the mechanics I actually kind of like in this game. And honestly, I think it's one that's more difficult to use on hard than normal. On normal, it's actually pretty reliable. So, we got Unit 1 strafing around and doing fun things. And Unit 2 is moving towards the enemy. Yes. Well, here we go. Go and bong. Aha! And then following up with a coup de grace. Not quite enough to deal with it, but that was not fun for that guy. He's knocked into crashing, which I've not mentioned it before now. Crashing means it's stunned, and until it recovers, it can't do a thing. And what I did there was a deliberate collision while using the armoured shield to take the brunt of it. So, bong, just a massive hit right up the back. And this is one of those cases where prediction wouldn't show you the results. The AI enemy was going to attack me right at the end of this turn phase, but I interrupted by, disabling him rather severely. And as you can see, his legs are also very, very badly crippled. Bonk. Off you go. You didn't move far enough. I'm going to push you a little bit further. And then, here we go. Bang. So yeah, this is kind of fine. I should check Unit 2 though. The shield is down to half health. That's okay. Can you push to hit again? Relatively. Or, I can actually make sure the enemy stays down. So if I attack, the enemy will get up in the middle of that, so I'll actually switch to shields. Go ahead. I will maneuver. And then, when you are due to get up, I will collide again. Yes, I am very friendly with this single enemy, aren't I? Important thing, though, is do not collide while the shield is down, because then it's weight class versus weight class is the operation that goes on there. Let's go to there, then go to there. But if your shield is raised, then you actually get a weight class bonus in such a interaction, and therefore your mech counts as being heavier than it normally would. As well as the fact the shield takes the impact instead of your, the rest of your mech taking the impact. So, better to avoid that one. Unit 1. Fire, fire, fire. And then do an insult attack with the pistol as well, and then I want you to actually move. About there would do it. Just in case the collision doesn't go as planned. So there we go. That attack will not hit. Oh, concussed. That means the pilot is knocked out. And then just give it a gentle nudge. Are you sure you're down? Yes, you're down. You're down. Hooray! All clear. I've got them before they manage to get word out. Salvage the equipment can, and then get this crawler up and running. There we go. I've only done a couple of fights already, but this is part of why I'm debating what to compress and what to, do time skips with. But yes, after each fight, you view key metrics, state of your squad, and available rewards. Quick summary. Outcomes, key stats. Battle length is one of the most important factors here. A quick decisive fight is usually better for your squad than a protracted engagement. So 30 seconds. That's all that was. 38 actions were planned. Damage taken. Damage inflicted. Units destroyed. Continue. And now we review the individual units we sent in. Covers state of pilots and mechs. Taking care of your squad is key to a successful campaign, so it's important to take note of pilot injuries, fatigue, experience points, and other events that occur in contact. Yep. The mech assigned to a given pilot will be displayed in the background. You can hover over the panel to get additional information about its states. And then proceed to the next. But, yeah, honestly, came through okay. A little bit of health there, but that was from the collisions, actually, I think, more than anything else. Or maybe it's from when this mech actually took a hit from the tank cannon and the shield was out of position. That's probably where that came from, actually. Most fights yield rewards. These can include valuable resources or even items that you can immediately equip to your mechs. Click on these items in this list to check their state and appearance. And then proceed when ready. So, guaranteed drops we get by default for the mission. We don't have to salvage them or anything. It doesn't cost us anything. We picked up a shotgun and a assault rifle. Continue. And then the final step is salvage. Every enemy you defeat in the battlefield might provide new parts for your mechs. In this step, decide what to take and what to leave. Now remember, this salvage limit is reduced because of difficulty. And the fact that I've got access to all the parts from this particular mech is because I turned that option on. Otherwise, we would only have had partial salvage, though because we didn't actually kill this mech, we knocked the pilot out, we would have actually got partial salvage from it anyway, and we can actually check what that would have been. Each enemy displayed with compatible equipment displayed in the list. Units like tanks might not have any, while enemy mechs might have up to 6 usable items. Some fights involve dozens of enemies, so remember to check for additional pages listed for more units and items. Buttons on the right for recovery, scrap, or abandoning given items. You're limited by the salvage budget. It can vary depending on the number of defeated units, mission type, province, or even pilots you bring to the fight. Some options are more costly, like recovering items instead of scrapping them for resources. Recovering higher quality items, recovering parts that were destroyed in combat. So yeah, higher quality and also parts that were destroyed versus disabled, more expensive and therefore costs more out of my budget. Though the budget does increase depending on other factors as well, so it's balanced that way. If you're unsure what to pick, it might be a good idea to check your squad. You can click on these to compare the units installed on our mechs. Like we can check to see if our shield compares to a shield in the list here, or stuff like that. Continue. And then when finished, press the button down here. Continue. Okay, so yeah, I can double check things. In this case, let's check for example, let's check our basic assault rifle versus the one here. They both add 2 bursts, though the level 2 is better than level 1. That's one drawback of starting out a new campaign versus a pre-start. A pre-start, you actually start with level 2 equipment versus level 1 equipment, so you get some stuff already. In particular, though, we do have the Erebus torso, which is also an upgrade. And all this is basic stuff, so we don't need to learn it for our manufacturing. That's also fine. I can't take everything, I don't think. Yeah, over budget. I'm over by 10. I can take all but one of these, and one of these I have to scrap. Well, except for the arm. Yeah. Notice there's a price difference there? That's 10 for that arm, and 15 for this one. And that's because, if you can also look at this upper corner here, like there's a fragmented border on it versus a solid border. That's because this arm and this torso both survived the fight intact when we knocked the pilot out, but the other arm, the legs, and the actual assault rifle, because that was being carried by the arm that got knocked out, are all damaged and therefore are more expensive to salvage. I think I will take overall well, the problem is everything's so basic, they've not even got perks on them or anything. I will take one of the arms. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll take one of the arms, confirmed. Da-da-da! We got stuff. Loot has been acquired. Mel base is creaky from disuse, but still otherwise intact. Inside the giant crawler, there's ample space to accommodate pilots and crew, complete with a mech bay. It won't be cozy, but it'll serve well as a home for you and your crew. So, now explore the mobile base. Rugged all-terrain vehicle, you'll be able to take the fight out on the road. Strike enemy where they won't expect it, refit your mechs in the field, and shelter your crew. It will be crucial for your campaign. Okay. Units. And yep, there's one of our units just standing right there. Mobile base's unit screen. Here you can inspect every mech on your roster. Use this button to edit selected units. Also double click on a unit in the list to do the same thing. Let's click on here. And then we can edit this by swapping in and out individual parts on it. Picked up new weapons, last one, so let's click here, and this is our current equipment. I can mouse over some of this to get more details on them. And this is our inventory list where we've got a spare shotgun and assault rifle. So we've got 2 assault rifles actually, because yeah, we picked up one from salvage and one from a guaranteed reward. And then we just hover over and swap things out as we want. So Mark 1 can be swapped out for the level 1 can be swapped out for level 2, with no real change apart from being more powerful. Or we do have an alternative, which is a basic assault rifle. Excuse me, I don't know why my throat's dry today. Alright. So we've got the level here. Worth noting, this also shows duration as well. So, attack duration, that's how long the weapon animation acts. That's normally pretty static, though it can be modified a bit by skills or usually from weapon add-ons. And then the interval, that actually is determined by how good your mech is calculated to be at dissipating heat. So this just is a basic calculation of how quickly your mech can deal with the heat and then be able to fire again. And it also gives like a general range. As we can see, there's some accuracy drop off for this particular weapon at longer ranges, but it works at 2 to 53 meters, so pretty good. Also, primary structure, though it does some pilot damage. And then if we go to a basic rifle, it'll deal less damage per hit, but increased damage overall. 80 jumps to 160, but it doesn't do pilot damage, so it can't actually knock out an enemy pilot from its impacts. the individual shots are just too weak if I go for the base assault rifle. But you can also see it generates less heat as well, and it's slightly lighter, so I can fire it more often, and because mass is reduced, it actually increases my mech speed a little bit. So yes, mass is affected to speed. Units power plant also affects speed. Excuse me, wow. Power plant also affects speed, and everything does calculate in how your mech is put together. So let's equip. I think the base assault rifle, we give up pilot damage, but it actually has a longer effective range overall. We can also see it's from a different manufacturer as well. So they have different manufacturers, there's some of different traits, these are both ballistics, and then overall range traits. So generally how well it is, medium is an all-rounder, works okay, but some mech traits actually feed off of ranges for weapons, so it's something that you do sometimes need to pay attention to. Go for the burst rifle, go for that. Let's go for that. Average level increased. Units overall performance when refitting a weapon's power might have trade-offs in weight and speed. That's what I was just talking about. But our overall level also increased slightly, which is a measure of our general power versus enemy units of equivalent stats. Also, I customize the paint scheme of your mech. Enter the livery here. And once done customization, return to the base. Confirm. And then we've got an autosave. This is also where I will say I am planning to allow you guys to claim like mechs or pilots and things, because the mechs can be named, the pilots can be named. I don't think I'll let you guys. You can suggest loadouts and things, but I'm not going to guarantee control over that one, because units might get damaged, mech parts might break. Flat out pilots might die as well, but the actual individual units and pilots tend to stick around because I don't tend to be that careless with them. Touch wood. I'm not going to send someone in on a blaze of glory kind of thing. I'm not that aggressive, not at all. I don't do that at all. You guys wait until you see what I do when I've got thrusters and better power plants. I said I'm kind of aggressive in this game, and I mean it. I'm actually unusually aggressive in this game. I'm normally more reserved. Oh well. Anyway, let's install the level 2. Actually, let's check our other units. Our other unit is also operating medium weight right now. You're more likely to get hit, so let's swap out the torso. The legs... Well, that would help in general, so let's do that. And then the right arm is the more important of the two because it's got the weapon. In general, this other arm will protect with the shield. These arms actually have massive shoulder protrusions on them, so that's actually a slight problem. And then we did actually get a better shotgun as well. The only benefit is it's got slightly more power. That's fine. You got the assault rifle, yes. Anything else I want to put onto you? Not really. Okay. And then we've got paint jobs. So, someone who decides they want to claim a mech, feel free to say what you might want for paint jobs, but as you can see, it's like, we get 3 colours, but we can mix them around a bit, and we can also mix and match individual parts as well. If you want to try and customize it a bit in that regard, let me know what kind of thing you want to see, and we'll see what we do. So, that's all that. Let's go ahead and back out to the province. As caller systems hum to life, you immediately notice a blip on the scanners. Distress call sent for civilian radio on 3F frequencies. Cascade forces have begun to move into a local village, no doubt in response to your attack on the outpost. No time to waste. Okay, so, next objective. Whenever a new objective appears, it pauses and it pops up. And we've got 2 things. We've got a optional point. If the territory advances, these tend to disappear. But that's something I'll mention next time, I suppose. And then we've got an objective, which is the village. I will go ahead and push to the objective point, because this is a random event kind of thing. We might get rewards, we might get something else from it. Come across a massive concrete tunnel disappearing into the hillside. Luckily, another entrance to the mining complex. The driver, visibly relieved, jumps down from the seat and rushes downstairs to check the suspension. The old metal beast has been surprisingly cooperative so far, but after years in storage, there's no shortage of things for your engineers to check. Shall we check out the mine? Asked one of the pilots. Considering our proximity to the Langset, there might still be some equipment inside. Keep moving, ask the crew to return the first thing they find, or search, send the crew to dig deeper. That's not a phrase that means danger at all. Some old equipment had been stashed in the entrance of the tunnel, but your squad reports that they've found a small storage area off to the side. Look out the window as your crew drag a large crate through the grass. A reward container. And it's given me some level 2 legs. Even better, they have one of my preferred perks, actually. These legs have a... well, they're not the first one we've seen. We've actually saw that on weapon as well. I didn't mention that at the time. We've got a perk on these legs, which is composite to level 1. Minus 6% mass, making this part lighter than is typical for this particular part. And knocks actually tend to be a bit heavier as well, so that offsets the weight a bit. Also, fused. Some perks and things are pre-built into a item, and they are locked in place, so they can't actually be torn out of it. Though some are not fused in place and can actually be taken out and swapped to other pieces. So, yeah, as we go along, we'll get more modularity. In this case, though, this is just a sturdy pair of legs, which is a bit lighter than usual, but it's still a good find. And I'm honestly thinking I will give this to our protector unit. Back to customization mode. And yeah, even though it's a heavier base set of legs, the composite perk is actually greatly reducing it, and so this mech actually gets a bit faster. Also worth noting, as you can see, they do look fairly different. The mechs have a basic chassis underneath, but everything else is basically modular components installed onto that basic frame. So there can be a lot of variety in general, though that also frees up a pair of legs for my other mech as well, to give them a slight upgrade. There we go. Upgraded. I will round out this mission, well, this episode by, we've got a few minutes left, roughly, but I will drop in on the village, and then go from there. So, call stops the outskirts of town, briefing table in front of you lights up, enemy signatures and clans. We can't go in there guns blazing as usual, pilot says to another. This isn't a base or a battlefield, these are people's homes. So a small settlement, guaranteed rewards, a record container of camp supplies, no bonuses. 1 on site and 1 dropship contacts reported. This is a protection or liberation mission. Mobile base can scan sites in advance, revealing valuable intel. Customizing your squad depending on the mission and local terrain can be key to victory. Review mission details, environmental warnings, enemy numbers, and other intel before you proceed. Okay. A hull table lets you preview the terrain, unit positions, and key locations. Then, second page lets you see how many units you can deploy and decide which mechs and pilots to send out. Check tooltips on pilots to view their states. Might have a new weapon that doesn't match pilot specialization, or an injured pilot, or other issues can be addressed before deploying. Once you're happy, click deploy. Let's go back then. So, liberation. Take out the enemy while minimizing damage to civilian structures. So, basically, because structure damage is something that's tracked, this is the opposite. You're meant to avoid damaging the structures as best you can, and that includes letting the enemy damage the structures. So, hiding behind buildings isn't as good of an idea as normal in this one. That said, there's not much we can do regarding our overall stats, except for maybe give Kilo a better ranged weapon than the shotgun. Actually, the shotgun's a terrible choice for this one. Well, it's a limiting choice, I should probably say. Edit this unit. Something I was messing around with while testing this difficulty setting to see how I liked it compared to like just base hard. And I think let's go with the level 2 rifle as your choice. Yes. So, not as much raw power, but doesn't have the scatter shot problem, which will cause collateral damage. Also gives it a longer engagement range as well compared to the shotgun. So, you know, there is a trade-off. Also less pilot incapacitation damage, but we're not trying to do that. So let's go ahead and start. And plan and prepare. I saw a child duck toy, one of those swingy spring things. We must save that at all costs. See, I know what's important here. I know exactly what's important here. Careful here, Commander. Try to minimize damage to these people's homes. Local resistance forces will be here to help soon. No fight takes place in the field or in a military installation. From time to time, you'll need to deal with enemies in civilian areas. Avoid using civilian buildings as cover to protect them from damage. Leave a city in ruins can complicate your campaign, reducing rewards, worsening relationship with resistances, or outright failing the mission. When fighting cities, some enemies hold fire until they have a line of sight. However, it's best not to count on their trigger discipline. Enemies will fire if they catch a glimpse of your unit, even if there's a civilian building behind it. As I said, we have to pay attention to what the enemy's shooting at as well. Now, the enemy doesn't know we're here yet, so that's okay. Enemy units are moving over that way. Let's check what they've got. We've got... This guy's carrying a rocket launcher. You need to go down ASAP. Right. You've got an autocannon and you've got a base cannon. So I've got a standard tank and a autocannon tank. So, yep. Okay. I think priority is actually to take out the tanks and then we can crowd in on the mech. Let me just plot this out. So yes, we're going to try him. We're going to try with me what I started to do a bit of the previous one. It's just like I'll plan and summarize, and we'll see how that feels in comparison. And let me know if you prefer to have more condensed and therefore more actions, or if you'd actually like me talking through as I try to decide things as we go. So yeah. Anyway, let us proceed. I'll tell you this: I miss having thrusters. Thrusters unlock immediately if you go into a pre-start, which is why they are such an essential part of things in general. They're so basic as a tool, but they're also not quite absolute basic, and that's why I don't have them yet. All I can do really is push forward and potentially swap one tank before they can engage. I'm also not ending turn in direct line of sight with any of the other units, so I shouldn't get immediately attacked by anything. Except for this guy's missile pod, potentially. So, yes. Off we go. Okay. The extra power of that more standard assault rifle definitely did a number on that enemy unit. Good. Approaching LZ, landing 5 seconds. Glad to join the fight, Commander. Thank you. Okay, so, Allied forces are coming in. We got an incoming... Oh, we've got an incoming range specialist. Okay. Very good. That might help. But let's see what the enemies are getting up to. Are they getting gun happy? This tank is confused and not doing anything. This guy is charging and attacking. And he's attacking the guy that's landing. And actually the attack stops right before it gets to that point. So it might clip the top of that building, but that's about it. Good to know. Do I have any good angles for actually fighting him? Not especially, because there's a lot of buildings in the way. That tank parking there is potentially an error. Let me just save and reload real quick. This is sometimes a problem with this game, where the logic actually kind of bugs out. Oh, I can go back to before the combat? No. Okay. Sometimes the AI doesn't quite realise what's going on, doesn't plan an optimal solution or anything like that. So, I'm going to Let's just say that tank has decided to park there for the next 5 seconds, and while its commander has a moment. Yeah. So sometimes that just happens, and it's a known bug in the game. I'm sorry to say, we suffered the greatest of civilian casualties during this. As you can see, the barbarity of the invaders, they ran over a sand pit and a slide. Oh, this cannot be allowed. But sadly, in our zeal, our valiant defenders also broken an unveiled statue. So yes, that was a slight mistake. Mind you, this after 3 years occupation, that statue might be of someone of the invading forces. So, you know, maybe, possibly, kind of, sort of. At least, though, the sandpit and the slide have been avenged. And more importantly, the springy toys are okay, for now. Unfortunately, I actually plan to go across those myself in a second, but yeah, well, we'll leave that as it is. I'm sure that they'll make suitable martyrs for the cause. I'm also going to, for the first time, show you guys an overheating unit. So, then my shield guy is moving around behind the other opponent as they move, mostly to get clear line of sight into the side of the hill for bullet lines. But I'm also going to press the attack as well, so this is going to overheat and damage my shield unit, and you'll get to see a bit of what that looks like when it happens. So, let us proceed. Execute. There goes that tank that was quite happily idling there. Oh, there's the allied units dropped in. And I actually hit it with enough force to cripple the legs and cause it to trip over. Excellent. That actually does help quite a bit. So, did I cause any real damage when I jumped up there? Not really. And that tank didn't cause any problem either. Knocked a tree down though. But yeah, I'm liking the higher damage potential, but that said, this guy only has like 40 armor on its sides, so that assault rifle just tore straight through, wasn't a problem. As you can see here, adjusting angles. In this case, the assault rifle from my generalist was kind of aiming downwards from the building, so I was using that to control where the bullets actually went to. In the end, no actual damage to the civilian structure that was next to it because of doing that, but as you also saw, this mech is probably going to start overheating. Now, let's go get back to planning. Our ally is planning to move backwards and then shoot it. Well, that unit is not moving, so I suppose I'll let it do that. I can't tell my ally what to do, I don't think. Oh no, I can actually tell my ally what to do. Huh. I have to keep that one in mind. I don't really mind what it's doing though. Let's check the enemy though. The enemy is crashing so hard that they don't know what to do, so they're just going to stand back up and that's basically their turn over. Cool, okay, right. Attack here, heat critical, will take damage, and then it's going to need time to cool off again, so yeah, look how badly it's overheated. This mech urgently needs better cooling. But let's just go ahead and attack it in the back though. Once it's cooled off to be safe enough from that. And then you, I think I'll just get you to come down from there. Because if I'm going to keep controlling like sight lines and stuff, I need to be prepared for what happens. I will, however, go ahead and plink into your back as I move off. Because I've got a basic pistol and that, I think, does more actual pilot damage than my other units does. But I think here, actually, I'll cancel that and just let that actually save the heat for if I want to. This unit here is going to move and attack. Actually, worth noting, by the way, optimal range, but target blocked. So this attack will just plow into the ground because it's detected that the attack line is going to intersect with something and get stopped. So yeah, this guy is actually not going to do anything this turn, but I could I could tell it to do something else. Should I do something else? I can delete their auto move orders as well. I'll take it. Marksman rifle is what you've got. Okay. Let's pop you here. And then... You're too close, apparently. Okay. If I pop you over here, how about that? Better, but not by much. What if I put you over here and then fire from there? 89%. Better, but yeah. As you can see, this is causing a few problems regarding how to aim it properly. Also, this is coming from the side with the weapon. That's actually probably not the best thing. I'm trying not to massively overdo it, and this is part of why I didn't want to have it so that I can't actually salvage wrecked stuff. You know, let's move here. Let's bring out your submachine gun. Wait, you don't have a submachine gun? Oh no, he's got a missile pod. No, that's not suitable for use here. Let's send you up here as a massive quacking target for it and say that's good. Yes. A massive quacking targets. I won't fire because accuracy is... Actually, no, you're firing down to the ground, aren't you? No, you're firing in the general direction of my mech. Never mind. This guy doesn't have any good options for this match. This is actually a bad unit to have on this match. Ha. Anyway, let's go ahead and execute. Yep, starts burning. It's overheating. And hey, we got concussed. And then overkill and it got destroyed. I didn't need to mess around with that third unit at all. So yeah, that got destroyed. It wasn't right next to a building, so that didn't cause a problem. When I did this originally on normal, I actually shield bashed this guy into the side of a building and tore down part of the building. But as you can see though, Unit 2 has not taken any kind of hits, but all of its components are partially damaged. By about 20 odd %. So yeah, that was actually kind of painful, overloading my reactor a bit like that. So yeah, don't overheat if you can help it, guys. That is not good to do. Also worth noting as well, by the way, we can see it's taking damage, but notice there's no effect from the heat, even though we saw the effect on the first run. So that's again showing how it's done a mixture of recording and recalculating as it does a replay. So it's a little bit odd, honestly. But on the plus side, we got an explosion. On the downside, we got an explosion. So this is a complete wreck, this one. Cavalry squad, 15 actions. So yeah, this was a lot simpler. There's only 3 enemies in this one. And I wasn't trying to be anything fancy with it. And the fact is, if I'm not being fancy, then I will wreck stuff and therefore have to actually pay more in terms of salvage costs. So that's part of the balancing factor of letting me get away with salvaging wrecked stuff. The fact is, I'm going to wreck stuff sometimes. And sometimes it's really hard to judge when you do or do not wreck things. That said though, difficulty can actually be changed mid-run. So I think I can turn that off again if anyone objects to it too strongly. I'll just have to wait and see how people react to it. But anyway, this mech came through intact and absolutely fine. The mech, however, was damaged. Not as badly as obviously apparent in the thing, because that was like into part health, but the overall frame of the mech has dropped by 17%. Not much, and not as bad as the part damage in the actual fight itself, or rather the part wear and tear. But that is now permanent damage that has to be fixed. So there we go. light legs, medium legs. We actually got our own missile launcher. Very nice. And we got a stronger shield. Ooh, even better. Okay, let's check these out. Legs have improved cooling, so extra heat dissipation will allow my units to be more heat intensive in their actions. Always good. The level 2s have composites, so as we know from before, reduced mass. The cluster missile launcher also has composites, so reduced mass. Note, by the way, this is a arc-firing weapon. It's an explosive weapon, so it does saturation bombardment, and it's got a minimum maximum range which are noteworthy, so it can't be used at point blank, really. But it's a mid-range weapon, so 30 to 66 meters is its default. And it does a lot of structural damage because it does a lot of explosions. So this is why I didn't want to let the enemy actually fire one of these off, and I didn't want to use my ally to fire one off as well. That would have complicated protecting the village just a tiny bit. The firewall shield, though, is level 2, so inherently more durability, but it's also got plated, which is an extra 11% on top of that. So this is a very nice sturdy shield to get my hands on. And then sadly, because of the knockout followed by an immediate torso kill, this mech is a complete write-off, and it's only available for salvaging damaged parts. Anything interesting here? Not super so. I don't have a torso, so I'll take that. I could do with the arms, I guess. Though Erebus is the stock arm, I'll take them as well. I can scrap this stuff later, by the way. They're not permanent additions to my inventory. And both my guys actually have level 2 legs, and I literally just got some better legs, I think, in my salvage. Yeah, I got better legs already, so I'll just scrap that. Can't quite salvage everything, but yeah, confirm. One of your pilots leaps down from the mech, raising cheers from the rest of the crew. Everyone's in high spirits, but you can see they need to rest. The med bay and repair systems are finally up and running. It's time for a short stop. Take care of your squad is your key responsibility as a commander. Mobile base and supplies at your disposal. You can finally attend to injuries, let your pilots rest, and repair the mechs. This is the overview corner. Gives you an at-a-glance summary of units and pilots at disposal, along with other important actions. This section displays the mechs at your disposal. Total number of mechs your base accommodates. The integrity of each mech is displayed at the bottom. You can hover over each unit to check the average level, weapon loadout, warnings, and more. This is where your pilots are. Check out overall space for them. Health of each pilot is also displayed. You can hover over them for level, experience, status, and stuff. And with pilots exhausted and your mechs damaged, it's prudent to set up camp and attend to your squad. Click the camp button below to proceed. Camping, though, is a finite resource. It takes supplies and it also takes time. As I mentioned, the enemy can do things with that time. And also, it gives them general repairs and fatigue reduction. If a pilot deploys on full fatigue, they actually hurt themselves because they're pushing themselves too hard. So they take physical damage, and if a pilot uses all their physical hit points, they die. So yes, they are gone. As you can see, though, it warns. Takes time. Missions might expire. And then I can select specific pilots and mechs to focus on, which specifically pilots will get healed and mechs will be repaired, and all pilots will have a slight reduction in fatigue. So, settle the camp. There's the damaged mech. That's okay. This mech is absolutely fine. I don't have anything else, so I'll just go ahead and say, focus on the pilots, please. Confirm. And that takes 6 hours. We can improve that, but not yet. There we go. Extra health. It doesn't increase max health, it increases how much they are healed though. And hope is another mechanic we've not really dealt with yet. Though medical bay, standard outcome. They've healed 22% and then plus 25% from higher hope level. 38% repaired, which was already maxed out, and then additional repair, which doesn't matter because again, we were already fully fixed. And then some pilots, all pilots lose some fatigue, but we tend to everyone, so we're all good. Get ready. New waypoints have appeared because it's refreshed. So, a demolition and a tank ambush. Okay. Notice the thing. Finding a foothold. Open season. It's time to take back Fyrland. The enemy forces in this province are few and far between, so it should be a good place to start. It is, but we are also out of time for this video, and this has been, I think, a very good introduction and grounding into the thing itself, and also gives me a chance to test editing and things like that. So, again, if you want to claim a mech or a pilot, let me know. Loadout suggestions, let me know. Anything like that, but right now we don't have many options in that regard, so we'll just have to see how we do. I've not actually checked my pilots yet. Let's have a look-see. Kilo is our stock defender. Oh, it's not actually given me the ability to skill them yet, because they haven't leveled up. I'm still locked behind the tutorial, so I can't see what their actual skills are, but as you can see, we have got some customizations for the actual pilots themselves. But yeah, this is my MR3. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps me, helps the channel, give me those virtual headpats I oh so crave. And I'll catch you all some other time. Next time, we have a demolition and a tank ambush planned. So, tank ambush is in fight. Demolition is going to put our new missile launcher through its paces. But yeah, we'll see you all later. We're gaining a foothold, and we're trying to gain a foothold in Headmark. Alright.